When people think of Korea, they think of K-pop, K-drama, bright cities, and late night light. But tonight, I want to tell you about a side of Korea you don't ever see on screen. A true horror story hidden inside an apartment. Welcome back under this lamplight. A factory worker in Cambodia, let's call him John. In 2019, John was selected to work abroad in a factory in Korea, which bring happiness and made him feel like a dream. Everyone knows that working abroad will surely bring much more income than their own country. When he started his job in Korea, he knows that right now is his opportunity to work and make as much money as he can. So, besides being a factory worker from Monday to Friday, John also works as a server in a nightclub for the weekend. He remains being a good employee for both of the job for 2 years. After this, his work contract with the factory ended, and he need to find a new job. Being a foreigner in Korea, John cannot apply for a job by himself. He needs to visit the Ministry of Foreign Affairs in Korea and handed them his application. The ministry will then inform him whenever a factory is hiring or have an open vacancy. After waiting for only a few days, he was given an opportunity to have an interview at the factory. John got hired easily because of his skills and background. When he got the job, the factory that hired him is responsible for finding a place for him to stay as long as he is contracted with them. Even if John wanted to find or choose his own place, he cannot do so. The factory got him an apartment room. When John arrived there, he saw a 10-story building, which is really beautiful. He thought to himself, "Wow, I cannot believe I will live in a place this nice." Walking into the building, everything he sees are clean and tidy. He was assigned to stay on the first floor, and for the first time ever, he opened his apartment door with high expectation. However, the moment he pushed open the door, it was greatly disappointing for him. His apartment room looks abandoned. Dust thick as snow, spider webs cover every corner, water stain on walls and ceiling, and the room is dark and cold with poor ventilation. But there is one thing that sticks out the most. It is the coldness of the apartment. Even though it is scorching hot summer, the room is abnormally cold. John is creeped out by all of this, but he cannot ask for change because his apartment has a 2 years contract like his job. With no other choice, John got into his apartment and started to clean everything to make it more livable. He moved in on August 2022. The layout of the apartment is simple. Opening the main door, he saw a straight hallway stretched to the edge of the apartment. On the left side is just a plain white wall, and walking through that door, there is a small room on his right with a glass window that he can see through. Passing this small room, there is an open space in the middle of the apartment. It is for the kitchen and living room. And after this, there is another room bigger than the previous one, which is the main bedroom. John chose to sleep in the small bedroom because he thinks he does not need a big room just for sleeping. He turned this abandoned apartment room into a normal livable home. 7 months in, and he lived there and worked comfortably until it was his birthday in February 2023. It was Saturday, so it seems perfect to celebrate with some friends. John called his friend over and have some drinks and party. They all slept over as the party goes on, and It is gonna be Sunday tomorrow, so they can sleep in all they want. After all the fun, all of his friends went back home, and John also prepared himself to get back to work tomorrow. Then the night came. This is the first night after he turned 30. Some people believe that when a person reaches the age that has a number 0 in the end, or we call it the tens, it will be his or her unlucky year. In the worst case, they might even start to see ghosts. And this is exactly what happened to John. At exactly 1 o'clock midnight, he dreamt that he is standing outside his apartment room in the building hall. John saw a man holding a knife in his hand and drifting through the hallway. In that moment, that man also saw John and started charging straight at him. John panicked, but he rushed to slam shut the door to get away from the man. But what made his heart nearly pound out of his chest is that man stabbed his knife on the door over and over until the whole blade of his knife pierced through the door. John was scared stiff, but it woke him up from the dream. He was drenched in cold sweat, trembling in fear, and with his heart hammering in his chest. Realizing it was just a dream, John calmed himself down and went back to sleep. However, what he believed to be just a one-time dream was, in fact, the beginning of his nightmare. He woke up and went to work as normal. In the light of the day, everything felt normal, but when darkness claimed the night, something began to creep in closer. This is his second night. At 1 o'clock again, he was sleeping peacefully, though the air around his feet started to become cold. It made him feel a bit uncomfortable. But he heard someone talking. Not in Korean, not in English. He does not know what language it is. But suddenly, a cold hand grabbed his ankle and tried to drag him off his bed. John freaked out and kicked that hand off his feet. He jumped off his bed and turned on the light to see what it is. But the moment the light brightened his room, there was nothing there. Only him alone in this room. John just brushed it off again as a hallucination because he believed he got too tired from working that it made him see things that aren't there. Therefore, he went back to sleep. Third night, 1 o'clock on the spot. While sleeping again, he heard someone dragging what sounds like a blanket near him. John quickly opened his eye to look around. However, there is nothing there. By this time, he started to get suspicious about his apartment. Lost into his thought, a sound suddenly blasting on his door. It seems like someone is slamming his door over and over. John ran straight to the door and opened it to see what really is here and what is happening in his apartment. But like any other time, there is nothing there. No one is at the door. Therefore, he was certain that there is a ghost haunting him. He felt so scared, but still went back to sleep since it is too late at night and he got to work tomorrow. Fourth night, again, 1 o'clock. These things always happen to him at 1 o'clock. On his bed, sleeping, John felt harder and harder to breathe. His arm and legs felt like it's dead. He cannot move a muscle. This is how it feels when you have sleep paralysis. But then, when he opened his eye, John saw a man. The man that was in his dream on the first night, now floating over him, but this time He only has the upper part of his body. His head is twice the size of his body. Hair is messy as a bird nest. A big and creepy smile with eyeballs as big as an egg, staring straight at John's face. This scared the soul out of John's body. He struggled to move his body while fighting with the fear that man was giving him. John was stuck there for 10 seconds. It might be just a short duration for us, but for John, that was the longest 10 seconds in his life. He broke free from that man and rushed to turn on the light. Once again, nothing is there. This is the end string for him. That night, John turned on every light in his apartment and stayed awake till the morning. When he went to work, he asked and begged his boss to change his apartment. John told his boss everything he had seen and experienced in that apartment. Unfortunately, his boss does not believe in whatever he said. On top of that, even if he believes, John still cannot change his apartment because he has a 2-year contract to live there. He was devastated, losing all hope of running away from that ghost. But no matter how he feels, the night will always come. This is the 5th night. John lay on his bed without any plan to sleep. But as time went on, his eyes felt tired. The eyelids were heavy. His mind started wandering off. John is half asleep and half awake by now. What brought him back to his sense was a feeling, a sensation that someone is laying beside him on his bed. John quickly turned his gaze to check, and he was there. The man, same face, same appearance. That man was laying across John, with his upper body came from the bed head. With no time wasted, John ran to turn on the light, and as always, he was gone. By the time he went to work, John asked around his co-worker about this, and one of his Cambodian co-worker gave him a talisman that he got from his homeland. John placed all his hope in this talisman. When he went back home, he stuck this talisman onto the door of his apartment, in hope of the power to ward off any evil spirits or ghosts, especially that man. John prayed and prayed before sleeping and fell asleep soon after. However, when he opened his eye this time, it was morning. That means nothing happened last night. He was overjoyed that the talisman works, but he was still not confident about it enough. Therefore, he is waiting to see for a few more days. Days passed, weeks went by, everything went back to normal. John was able to sleep in peace again after all the nightmare he has gone through. Until one day, his friends from work, Adam, asked to stay at his apartment for a few weeks. The reason is Adam's contract ended and they won't rent the room for him anymore. So, while waiting for another job, he wanted to stay with John for a while. A kind man John is, he agreed without any hesitation. Adam moved into the big bedroom, while John still stayed in the small room. From Monday to Friday, John was home with Adam. Everything seems normal, nothing out of ordinary. However, when it is Saturday, the day that John needed to work at night, Adam was alone. When he was working, John got a call from Adam. Adam asked him in a serious tone, "Is your house haunted?" John quickly denied it. He worried that Adam might be scared if he talked about it. A while later, John got another call. It was Adam again. This time, Adam said, "I know your apartment is haunted. Don't lie to me." John thought that Adam must have seen something, so he cannot brush it off again. He told Adam that when he got home, he will tell Adam about it. Adam waited outside in front of the building. He cannot stay alone in this apartment any longer. What Adam saw was the light in the apartment keep turning on and off by itself. When he went to check, it was back to normal. That's when he called John for the first time. So he went back to sleep. While trying to sleep, he heard John's room. The small room is opening its door. Adam knew that John would not have come home this quick. He thought it might be a thief breaking in. Adam quickly rushed outside his room, but he saw no one. Another thought popped into his head, that it might be his neighbor next door. However, the moment he turned back to his room, he saw a man drifting past through the wall and went into the small room. That was when there is no other choice but to believe his own eye. Adam then called John for the second time and went downstairs to wait for John. When John's shift ended, he came home and told Adam about everything that happened in the apartment. And, as expected, John moved out by the time the sun rises. He told John that he found a new place to work, so he has a place to stay now and leave instantly. This made Adam seem like a jerk, but we can all understand that no one wants to stay at a place that is haunted, right? As for John, he hasn't seen that man since he put up the talisman. So he is safe from being haunted, and right now, John also moved out because his contract ended. Therefore, there is no way to know that if that man start hunting again or not. John lived his life peacefully while continue working and make money without any trouble since then. This is the end of John's stories. Would you be able to handle the situation like John? This is not the only story that came out of Korea. I will bring you another one, much darker than this. So, until next time, under this lamplight.